Hello and welcome to another episode of TesterSpeak Season 2 on the Test Chat YouTube channel. And I'm your host, Prajesh Dev. Well, you know, of all my connections, I have some connections with people who are uh, not very vocal, but when they speak, they make a lot of sense. My next guest on the show is one such person whom I have been connected for quite some time. I've been following his work, and whenever we have a conversation, he makes it really engaging. He's got really insightful thoughts about testing and how to do things. Uh, and every conversation with him is a huge delight. So I thought that it's a great idea to have him on the show so that we can have this conversation online and present this to everybody. So it gives me a lot of pleasure in welcoming my guest, Richard Forjoe. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you, Bridges. Yeah, I was saying it's good to finally speak to you. So lots of discussions online, but haven't actually had a chat with you face to face.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is really special. I don't know how many conversations we have had online, via chat or something like that, but I think this is the first face-to-face interaction that we are having.
yeah.
Tester Speak is one such series where I've spoken to a lot of testers face to face for the first time. Okay, I've been speaking to them on a regular basis via chat, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Telegram, on WhatsApp, on whatever.
Yeah,
But this has given me an opportunity to interact with people face to face. So I really enjoy.
yeah. It was very interesting actually.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
first of all, thank you for joining this show, giving me time really early in the morning for you. But I like to disturb people, and I must admit that you have got power because I can see the skeleton behind you. So what's the story with that?
it's my sister's actually. She's a doctor. So when she was staying here, she had it. So when she moved out, she didn't take it with her and she left it. So
Oh,
it's always just yeah, just
well,
left it. I don't
that's
know when she'll come and get it back. But
that's a beautiful setting to be sitting around, especially when you're testing. You could say, I do this to people who don't test. Anyways, jokes apart.
yeah, I think I'm used to it being there, so I always forget that people have any. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So Richard, how did you get started with testing?
yeah. So actually, yeah, I guess yeah. When I was a kid, I was always interested in how stuff works. So I was always breaking stuff. So I think just based on that, and I've always been interested in like design and stuff. So I went to do product design at university. And after I did that, I was looking for I was basically looking for design kind of jobs. And then I came across a job for a company that I wanted to work for, which is a games company. Because I've always been a gamer as well, so games is something I've always been interested in. And I came across a game testing position that I applied for, and I got it. And the original idea was that I would join the company and then I guess make my way up to like the design department or that kind of thing, maybe graphic design or game design kind of stuff. And I joined the game testing stuff. And I think after like a year, I started actually enjoying testing. Even though I think people talk about, you think that you would enjoy the games, yeah, the game side of things, but actually because you are playing the same kind of game constantly, the game side of thing phases out quite early. So
Yeah.
if yeah, so I think it's because of the testing side of stuff that I was enjoying. That's what made me stay there a bit. But I think yeah. So from there, that's when um I stayed there for like 3 years, and after that, I joined like a consultancy. So it's from the test consultancy that they actually focus on training us in testing. So I think most of my base base knowledge and stuff I got around testing was through them because it was a consultancy. So they basically trained you very well in testing so that you can deliver testing service for other companies. So they had like a good testing framework all the way from writing test strategy all the way to like entry and exit criteria, everything. All the training was focused on that, making sure that we knew all the different stages. So if they took us to a company that didn't have like a good defect management process, we could implement a good one. If they didn't have one at all, we could implement one for them. If they had one that wasn't working, we could improve it. So I think I learned a lot at that company, and I was working with quite a lot of good people. So yeah, I think that's why I started taking texting a lot more seriously as in a career a career point of view from that company. Yeah.
That's quite interesting. I would have also thought that, okay, if I were given an opportunity to play games and start my career,
Yeah.
I would just love it. And to begin your career journey with a company, a gaming company, I think it's awesome. But you're absolutely right. If you're playing the same game over a period of time, even though you're testing it, it is the testing part that will stick, and
Yeah.
game would actually fade away unless you bring out variety of games. You make changes to the games that
Yeah,
you.
because we worked on the same game for like maybe 6 months plus. And yeah, if you play a game at the early stages, it's terrible. So many stuff that's just broken.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, I can imagine that, and it's good for the testing community that the testing part stuck with you, and and you stayed
Yeah.
along because.
But I think one thing that's overlooked with game testing, they do a lot of exploratory testing.
Mhm.
Yeah, they do. Even though they don't teach you testing processes and stuff, some of the tests I worked with were amazing at exploratory testing. The kind of stuff that they found. But I think a lot of people because they don't train them, so they're not aware that's what they're doing. But yeah, a lot of games testing is exploratory testing. So I think I learned a lot about exploratory testing from that role before I moved on to testing systems and that kind of stuff. So
Right,
yeah,
right. So I'm curious now. You said that the company where you moved on, the consultancy, that gave you sort of the foundation for your testing knowledge.
yeah,
You spent quite a few years now testing. You've seen testing evolve. You've also seen testers evolve. So do you think uh, all the problems that we had 10 years ago in testing have gone away, or do you think we have new problems? Or how is it? What is your feeling?
yeah. I feel there's so many problems that like if you join a new company and you start, I always see the same kind of problems at the beginning. It's always misunderstanding about what testing is, or I guess the testers at the company maybe the management don't understand what they're doing. So it's always they feel sort of yeah. Usually, if I join a small company that they're starting up, you can always see that the management don't understand what testing is doing. So because the testers are not talking about testing. Yeah, I think one big problem I see is that testers, for some reason, testers don't seem to like talking about testing at companies. Yeah, it's like they do a lot of stuff, but they don't share it or communicate it with other teams. So nobody knows what the test team is doing a lot of the time. And yeah, I see that quite a lot. So
Well, well,
yeah.
that's probably why you need the test chat so that people can start talking.
Yeah, I think that's what I think that's like is I'm surprised that I hope that a lot of testers will join testing committees and stuff so that they can know how to talk about testing within their companies because I think it makes a big difference. Yeah, because there's so many places that I've been to that they had a lot of testing problems, but management had no idea about it until you started shining light on it and then to become aware of it.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you this, Richard. If okay, if I'm in a situation where okay, I'm testing and probably I'm not talking enough about testing to the management, what would be your advice for me? What would you want me to do, and how would you want me to be more expressive or talk about testing? What would be your advice?
Yeah, probably the first thing is just so let's say you do some stuff today.
Hmm.
Yeah, document it, make a list of it, make a list of like the problems that you had, make a list of the things you covered, make a list of the things you can see that might come later, or like risk and stuff that you think might come, and then just having a conversation with someone that you think will listen or has an input on trying to improve things.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's something that's quite. I think it's quite simple to do because you're already doing the work. It's just that just try and at least start communicating it so people are aware of it. So it can even be like a dev you're working with. Just share what you've done and have a discussion with them. Or yeah, so you can pick any level and then try and start having that conversation. And I think even if you start doing that, it helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
that.
at least people are seeing what you're doing, and then they can even help you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that can be a good conversation starter. And uh, how do you think I can continue talking about it? Because at one point they'll say, okay, enough of talking about testing problems. What next? What can you do for me? So what is it, or how is it that as a tester I can showcase my value to the organization? Okay, how do I feel that sense of pride, that sense of value in the eyes of my management? You know, uh, what,
Yeah.
what would be your advice on that?
Yeah. So I think one thing I think when I'm in the team, one thing I'm always trying to focus is seeing what things I'm doing that's helping the team or what things I'm doing that's helping the company. And if I do something that I can see has helped someone, doing a bit more of it. Because I think yeah, because like even developers, like if you write automation stuff, maybe you can you mock something. The mock that you've created can help a developer do their job. So I think it's always looking at yeah, it's always looking at things that you're doing that could help someone in the team or could help management or could help maybe the designers, and always trying to think in that terms, because if you have everyone in the team, it will help the products in the end, if if that makes sense. Yeah.
That's a very good point you've made. I think one of the fundamental problems, and from what you said, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, my interpretation from what you've said is that testers, instead of working in silos, should think more of collaborating, should think more of solving the problems for, or helping people solve their problems, maybe
Yeah.
developing.
Yeah, because all helps. If you do all that stuff, it helps the product
Yes,
in the end. Yeah.
absolutely. and
Yeah.
and 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 that's where, if I may just add to what you said, we all talk about quality being everybody's responsibility. That's exactly how quality becomes everybody's responsibility. When you do stuff together and you have that focus, the thing that you mentioned,
Yeah.
ultimately it's the product which is going to be benefited.
Yeah.
uh, so very good point. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
I think yeah, I've noticed as well that whenever you do stuff like that, you get a lot more respect from the different teams that you work with.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like in my current team, we help each other a lot. So I think it's because we I like the testers and stuff help the developers, help the design. So when it comes to them helping us, it's not a problem. They'll happily help, or maybe they're busy with stuff. They'll happily, because we will jump to help them to do stuff. So they'll happily replicate the same thing back to us,
Mm.
and it all helps. I think once the team is working smoothly, yeah, you can see a big difference in how we deliver stuff.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right. Uh, well, one very interesting thing that has always occurred to me is how testers sometimes feel that they are alienated. It is a feeling that comes from within and says, "Okay,
yeah,
I don't get valued." But the moment you start collaborating, you start generating that value. So your thought, the point that you shared, makes so much sense. It is extremely vital for testers to speak out, to be able to reach out for help, to
yeah,
offer
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yeah, to offer help. For example,
mhm.
uh, when we are working on our test cases or tests. I I wouldn't want to go in the direction of test cases. We've had a lot of discussions around. So when we are designing our tests, okay, you know, it is a good idea to collaborate with the developers, take their inputs on the
Yeah, because they know a lot as well. Yeah,
yes, and and obviously when they are working on their unit test design and stuff like that, that is when we can also help them with
yeah,
ideas. So, Richard, that brings me to another question. Now, how important do you think is a test strategy for any project? And how do you think every tester in the team can contribute towards that test strategy? Or because in a lot of places that I have seen, people think that it is a test strategy is the responsibility of the lead or the manager or somebody higher up, and as a tester,
yeah,
I bother. So, what is your thought on that?
yeah. Because I think, in my point of view, everyone on the team has got a different information. So we might be testing the same product, but maybe um, one of the testers of our team focuses on this area of the products. Another tester focuses on this area of the product. So they will have a lot more information about that area of the product than I do. So if they say that these are the kind of problems that they're seeing more, then maybe based on that information that we can change how we're focusing on or what kind of things we're doing around the area. So I think that's why communication is important. So once people are feeding that information back up, then you have more information to make decisions on how you change stuff. So I think everyone should be helping with the approach on how we test stuff, because everyone has got different, even developers as well can input it in, I think, because they first got valuable information. So if they write code on a certain area that they feel is a bit, because the time they had, it was a bit dodgy, that they couldn't write it in the way that they wanted, but it was like a quick fix, and they feed that back to us, that there's additional information that we can feed into our approach on how we're going to test that area. So yeah, I think everyone can feedback stuff that will help, as long as you have that kind of collaboration, and then you can use that information to decide on those kind of things. That's yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, of course it does, and so it is not. It is, in my opinion, one of the myths within some of the testing pockets where people feel that, oh, test strategy or test plan or something like that is something for a test lead or a test manager to look at. I think every tester, like you said, needs to collaborate together. We need to involve not just the testers but also the developers, other people, while developing a strategy. It cannot
Yeah,
be done in a silo. So
yeah. Because I think, yeah, but I think, like, back in the waterfall days, when you're producing documents and stuff, I always found that by the time you start producing the documents, you've probably already had, or you should have at least had, all the discussions and stuff with the different people. So by the time you come to writing the document, everything in the document should have been discussed already. So the document is just like a final thing to say that we discussed this is what we agreed, blah, blah, blah. So it shouldn't be that you produce a document and nobody knows what is in there. It should be stuff that you had already discussed with people. Yeah.
Right. A funny thing is that, so I started writing test plans, I think 15 years ago or something like that. And when I started writing, I soon realized that if I write a test plan and send it to so many people, you know,
I don't read
nobody
it.
reads it. Nobody reads it.
Yeah, nobody reads them.
Yeah, the test
Yeah.
plans and the test strategies and stuff is only read by the person who writes it.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
You spend
so
like weeks on it and then nobody reads it.
exactly. So, that's where I have a problem with these templates. Whether it,
Yeah, I think definitely. That's a problem with the templates and stuff. The people when you talk about a template and then they just fill it in, then they forget about the discussions and stuff
right,
before. Yeah,
exactly. So earlier it was this IEEE 829, and then it was this IEEE,
yeah,
I think 29119 part 3 or something like that.
yeah.
So, a test plan document may not be relevant, but do you think there is a place still for a test plan? Do you need a plan for testing?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I always at least have if even if I don't write it down, I always at least have something in my head on how I want to do things. But it's not it's not like I get from my point of view, I know that things always change. So, but I always like at least have to have a process on sort of how we're going to do things, and then try it. If it doesn't work, then refine it. So, I think I think for testers, it's one thing that I want to try and teach like junior tester and stuff. Even though we're doing agile and stuff, the test process from a strategy all the way to how you're going to manage stuff, I think is still important because
Yes.
I think you still need to have an idea of it or have something that you go to. So if things are going a certain way, you're not sure, at least have an idea of how you're going to approach it. And then when it happens, you can at least tackle it and then learn from it and then change it. Rather than not have any idea and then the problems come and you don't know what to do. So I think testers should always have a test plan or have an idea of how they're going to approach stuff and then refine it when they learn new stuff going forward. Because I think it helps you with your direction. And yeah, because I think sometimes I feel that people sort of focus on just one thing, not the other stuff, and because they haven't thought about the bigger, they haven't planned the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So they're just going on, or they're just reacting to things as they go on, rather than seeing the overall picture. Yeah. So I think it's good. It's definitely good to
And
help you.
that is where, tools that help you in mind mapping and stuff like that, that come very,
Yeah, mind mapping is awesome. Yeah,
it comes in very
just
handy. You could have
just helps you think. Yeah,
Yeah, you could have your test plan in the form of a mind map, and obviously, like you said, things change, so you can make those changes there very quickly. And if
yeah,
you put it out in front of everybody, then everybody is aware of what is going through your head.
yeah. Your thought process, and they can input into it as well. Yeah,
Absolutely. So I agree 100% with what you said. It's a good idea to have a plan out there. Okay, maybe use simple tool like mind map to put it out there and constantly go through it. Help others in thinking. And
yeah,
you previously mentioned collaboration. Collaborate, because when people look at that, they will come with ideas to you, which will
yeah. Exactly. So yeah, they might you might have lots of stuff on there, and then they'll see a big gap that you haven't thought of, and then
be
they can start that conversation. Yeah,
And one of the most important things that you've mentioned, And I seriously want to thank you for that, is putting the focus on the big picture, right? So how do you advise testers to look at the big picture? What would be your advice? I know we've spoken about it in the past.
Yeah.
So I, I just want you to share your thoughts on that one.
Yeah. So I guess looking at the products and speaking speaking to people. Yeah, I think speaking is definitely one. Like, yeah, usually whenever I join a company or a new company and stuff, one thing I try and do is try and have conversations with the different people that are involved in the delivery. So it could be like the project management, it could be the CTO, or it could be the head of design, and I try and understand what their expectations are, that kind of thing. So I know what they are, what is interesting for them, or what they are focusing on. And I think once you have that information, it will help you have an understanding of I guess, like the different stakeholders and what is important to them. So you know what's if I find something out from my testing, who that information might be useful to, type thing. So I think it's, yeah, definitely having conversations with the different people that are important for the product, to understand where they are looking at things from, and then when you are doing your testing, you can have an idea of what things are important that you should focus on. And also, yeah, I guess understanding the customer as well is important, so that you can keep them in mind as well. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think from testing we find out, because we actually use the product, there's a lot of information that we get that those people don't are not aware of. So if you find something out and you don't know, is yeah, if you know who that information is important to, you can share it with them and get feedback from them.
Right.
Because a lot of stuff that you might share to someone, and because it's not important to them, it will nothing will happen with it. But you're going to speak to someone else that is very important to them, and it's a big deal.
Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Indeed.
Uh,
And for all those things, all those big deals for people,
yeah.
you would want to know them as a test.
Yeah. Exactly. Because even like you might find like a small CSS issue
Yeah.
to a developer is nothing, to maybe like the solutions architect is nothing, but you speak to a designer about it, or maybe you speak to a developer that is very interested in design or that kind of stuff, and it's a big deal for them,
Yeah.
and they would want to fix it. That thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. You've given a very good example in terms of a simple CSS. It might be relevant to a few people, but it may be a really big deal for some.
Yeah.
And the big picture obviously helps you in understanding, what is a big
What's
deal for what.
yeah, what is important for the different people that are involved. Yeah.
Yes. And on that, I also have a question. Okay, so when we talk about looking at the big picture and then taking don't you think it's a little, it then becomes a little bit of an overhead for the testers to try and get everybody's expectations, everybody's area of importance of
Yeah.
focus, and then put your testing thoughts according to it? Do you think it's an overhead for testers?
Yeah. It can be, but yeah, it is. Yeah, but I sort of feel it's part of our job though. But I think, yeah, because that's one of the main things we do, is to find information and try and share it with the right person. So it's just an overhead, but I think it's something that we should be doing. It's part of what we should be doing,
Yeah.
because it's important. Because otherwise you have lots of stuff that you found, and then lots of problems that you found, but because you haven't spoken to the right person, then the customer will get that problem. and then it will become a bigger problem coming from somewhere else. So that overhead that you're complaining about now will later come and bite you, because then it will be a bigger problem later when maybe after the customer has found it, then it's gone to the right person, and then it's all going to come back to you again.
Right.
And
Right.
then you have to rush or do something to solve it then. So yeah, it's on overhead, but I think the long run is will help you.
I I I
Yeah,
I think that's exactly the way, I would want people to think, that you might feel that it is daunting to see so much stuff, so many expectations
yeah,
and so many goals to meet. The big picture looks enormous and I get scared looking at it. But what's important is to understand is, again, going back to the point that you made earlier, that it is all for the product. So
yeah,
you if everybody's thoughts culminate into a better product, then who better than a tester to actually translate those big deal statements, if I may
yeah,
call it that, into something which becomes a part of the product and makes the product better, right? So
yeah. But I guess, yeah, I guess going back to your question as well, that if you feel it's too much for you, then maybe you can communicate that as well. That yeah, so maybe you need more people on your team to help you, because there's too much to do. So
right.
yeah, I guess that might be another way to approach it, is to see it that way, as in it's too much because you don't have enough people on your team to help you. So that could be something that you can communicate up.
Or it could be a situation where you need to learn some stuff. It could
Yeah,
also be a case
yeah,
where there are certain areas which you are not aware of, and so shutting ourselves down, moving away from the situation, I don't think is a wise choice to make. What is wise is to understand that, okay, there is stuff to test. There are people who have
yeah,
around it, and you know everybody wants to contribute towards making a better product. So
yeah,
working together will make a difference. Now I want to take this discussion to another direction, and I want to talk about the way testing happened like a few years ago versus the way testing is happening
you
now.
mean like the waterfall of
uh,
the
not exactly that.
oh
Not exactly that. What I wanted to talk about is, a few years earlier, a few years ago, there was a lot of focus on testing, on UI testing. People would say.
yeah.
Now the focus seems to be shifting more towards API, and you see a lot of stuff. Have you noticed that change as well, or is it just me who's noticed that change?
I, th- I think it's being discussed more, but I don't know. Yeah, because since I started, yeah, like the first company I joined, we always did a lot of backend testing as well. Because
Mhm.
there's some projects that we did that were purely backend Unix programs, database, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, so I guess it depends on the kind of projects the testers on. Because I've met some testers that have only worked on front end applications. Even in that case, I have met some testers that have worked on front end applications, but they're still interested in understanding the backend stuff. And I've met some testers as well that I've worked on front end applications, but I don't have any interest in understanding how the backend works. They just focus on the front end UI. So
So how
yeah,
how important is it for the testers to understand stuff such as APIs? What i- First of all, is it important? Secondly, if it is important, how important is for people to understand how, the 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 whole structure of APIs and how it works and how it can be tested and things like that.
yeah, I think it's useful because Yeah, like every time I join a project or I'm testing a particular product, I always try and get the devs to walk me through like their code so that I can understand how the front end application is getting data from or what it's doing in the end. And then, because I think once you understand that, you have more information to test the front end application a lot better. And you can see what kind of data can get into the front end application. So it will give you, because if you're testing a front end application and then you know that the backend API is only sending maybe just numbers, then you know that there's a restriction there. So there's no point in you testing letters and stuff because
Right.
the backend is only sending this information.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's good. Yeah, it's definitely good to know because it gives you more ammunition on stuff that you can consider or look at. Yeah, because the problem, yeah, with APIs, there's a lot. I think, luckily for me, I've worked on one of my previous companies. We're basically building APIs for other companies to integrate their systems. So I think because of that, I understand with APIs, there's actually a lot going on in the backend with the API. An API might speak to 10 other systems to get information for just that one API to feedback, or it might even speak to just one system.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff going on. So if you understand, or if you have an idea of that's what's going on in the backend, then you know that there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong in the front end part of the application.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because yeah, some APIs are very complicated. It's crazy how yeah
Yeah, some of them are. I know from experience
yeah
testing some of those APIs. You just, I mean, I just felt like pulling pulling my hair away.
yeah,
It is so complicated, but yeah, but
but it's useful.
it's very
Yeah,
useful. I had some really brilliant guys in the team, so ultimately I did not. I still have hair. Okay, so I did not have to pull them out because we got all the help, and that is where your tips on collaborating obviously helps because once you start talking to the developers, once you start talking to the architects, then you understand why that API first of all exists.
yeah,
Second, the complex nature of that API, which you see it from a distance, is like, oh, you feel that it is complicated. But once you understand what it is doing and how things are happening inside and why is it there in the first place, then
yeah. You can see also, I guess, if you understand it, you can see also what kind of problems it might have. So if yeah, if you know is as I said, if you know is making calls to 10 other systems, then obviously if there's not network plus and that kind of stuff is going to affect it. So there's lots of things that you can sort of predict that could go wrong and you can consider them as well when you're doing stuff. Yeah.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And that's where I feel the 5W1H is very handy. So if you know what the API is, if you know why it is there, if you know where is it being used for, if you when the calls are made, if you know who is it interacting with, and if you know
Yeah.
how API works, your life is solved. So so yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I,
that
I guess yeah, I guess another big thing with APIs as well is the data, because a lot of them is they do a lot of data transformation and that kind of stuff. So yeah, and I think that's where there tends to be a lot of problems if they haven't built it properly and it might not translate data properly. Then you know that yeah. So all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, and that brings me to my next question, Richard. So test data, okay?
yeah,
Data has been one of the problems, for
yeah,
years now. Okay, it's something that we spoke about in the past. That there are things which you've seen at the start of your career still remain, probably will remain for some more time.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on solving issues such as test data problems? How do you get around test data?
to solving the problems. I think, yeah, I think we need more tools. I think for testing, I think that's one of the things I feel is missing is the lack of focus on tools that help us do our job better. There's always, yeah, like for developers, there's always new tools and stuff that help them or make their job easier. But with testing, like now, I feel like most of the tools is all focused on automation, but there's not a lot of tools to help us actually do our jobs better. Yeah, because test data now it's getting more and more complicated and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So yeah, I've lost my train of thought there.
Well, absolutely. And when you say tools that make our lives easier, it is very important to understand that. And I say this time and again that if the focus of test automation is only on certain test cases, on converting test cases into test scripts and running them, well, then the focus, in my opinion, is very narrow. And
Yeah, because there's lots of other stuff that we can create tools for.
absolutely,
That yeah,
absolutely. For example, you said there are not enough tools which can help us generate good quality test data.
data. Yeah, there isn't.
Or there are not enough tools in the market which can help us, um, generate test reports, for example.
Yeah,
We have to still rely on certain plugins saying, okay, we'll use maybe Kibana or
yeah,
look at something like that and say, okay, we can probably integrate that and that will generate some very nice dashboards, and which is good.
yeah. Because
Which
I would love to see like a test monitoring tool that uses mind maps
Yeah,
or something like, yeah. I think
that's a great idea.
yeah, stuff that will help us share what we are doing a lot easier. But yeah, there's not much focus around those kind of tools
Yeah,
or debugging tools. Yeah,
that's a great idea. And one example that I can give you of a very good tool, which is not just a bug reporting tool, but gives you a great insight into the kind of testing that you've done, is Bagasura. That's from Molia. I think that's
I've heard about it, but I haven't tried it before
yeah.
actually.
So especially when you are doing a lot of mobile testing, you would find that tool really handy. It's an awesome product. Okay, and I of course have first-hand experience of that, and that's why I can vouch for it. Um, they do such a great job at that, and that is the kind of tools that you need to equip.
Yeah, I think we definitely need more stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, and I like the idea of a mind mapping tool for testers. Maybe somebody who, if they're listening and if they are into product design, put our heads together, get Richard as a product owner on that one because he
it will make a big difference.
yeah. So guys, in the community, let's collaborate and let's try and build this tool, the dream tool for Richard. What say, Richard? That'll be awesome.
Yeah, it will definitely make a big difference. I think.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, because
Well,
even like my mapping tools, they've been around for a while. It hasn't changed much. So you think that even if testers are using it, you'll be seeing big improvements on it every year. But no, you don't see that. Yeah.
right, right. Cool, awesome. Yeah, so we've had a serious discussion for a while, so I want to take this discussion to a lighter note, and that's where I do this quick rapid fire round, I guess. Okay, few questions. You get 5 seconds to think of your responses, and if there is a multiple choice question, so you have to justify your selection. Okay, why are you
Okay.
that? All right. So first one, very easy for you. Your favorite football club?
Arsenal.
Ah, the Gunners.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Gunners.
They haven't had a great time with the Premier League lately.
Yeah. I
How,
think they're
how do you think you're going to solve their problem?
Yeah, they're a difficult team to follow because the games you expect them to win, they lose, and the games you don't expect to win, to lose, they win. So yeah, you're always on your seats with us. So but,
Eh,
yeah, I think I'm sort of used to it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I follow a club which could be considered an arch rival, Manchester.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bad choice.
I get a lot of that from Arsenal fans or fans of any other club for that matter. And if it is a City fan, Manchester City fan, I almost look for my helmet, because that gets difficult. But yeah, Manchester is a wonderful city, and it's fun. Okay, to see the blues and the reds, and if
Yeah.
there is a derby, well, then that's a really special day. All right. So the next question that I have for you: your favorite city to live in?
Favorite city.
I say
Yeah, I'll probably say Shanghai. I yeah, I like Shanghai. Yeah.
Shanghai. Okay. And is it because of the high speed rail, or what's it? Or because of the real speed in life?
Uh, no, I lived there for about 3 years. I moved there for a while, and I just like how they do stuff. But there's a lot of stuff going on there, and I think I
So,
like
so
yeah.
you've experienced that the maglev train there, right, to the
I
airport?
didn't actually try it. No, yeah, I never tried it actually. I
Oh,
should I should probably
no.
have.
If you are in Shanghai and if you
Yeah, I know.
that, well,
I think I was more because I do a lot of photography, so I was more visiting other cities and stuff
Mhm.
than trying their technology.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I so I've had colleagues who've been to Shanghai, and every time they come back, they tell stories about that high speed rail.
yeah.
The
I don't know why I never tried it.
Yeah, the maglev, and
Probably.
it's okay. So reserve it for your next visit to
Yeah.
Shanghai.
I've heard people talking about it, how impressive it is, and you don't even feel any bumps or anything.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't understand why I never tried it. Yeah,
yeah. I don't know what I think it goes at 450 kilometers per hour or something.
yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy, and well, that's well. I was seeing a documentary yesterday that Japan is trying to outdo that. Of course, they are building a new Shinkansen line between, of course, their popular destinations, Tokyo and Kyoto, which will take them about 67 minutes for 438 kilometers, which is
Oh,
traveling at 520 kilometers per hour or something like that, which is going to beat that. And that is again the same technology, the maglev, the magnetic
the
levitation.
rails. Yeah,
Yeah, I am simply amazed at how those guys they do it, So and what I find more fascinating is how they test it. Okay, because in order to test it, you have to start testing right from the requirements level. You know,
yeah. I don't know how they deliver projects like that.
yeah, it's unimaginable
Team.
to actually have that kind of a product being envisioned and then actually put into action. And Japan has been doing that for like,
Yeah, I think I heard that in Japan they plan stuff for a long time
yeah,
and then implement it in a short time.
absolutely.
Yeah,
There is so much of thought that goes behind. So when they came up with their first bullet train, I think it was in the 1960s, 64, 65, so many years ago. It took a while for other countries to sort of catch up and get there before they
yeah,
would have their first, you know, a bullet train equivalent or whatever. So it's quite interesting. Well, technology discussions
yeah.
can,
Like
can
also, I'm always telling people as well in yeah in Shanghai, or China, the how quickly they build stuff is crazy. So like in UK, you see construction starting up, and within a year, maybe they've got halfway. But in China, a lot of places, you see a construction starting up, and in 6 months it's done.
yeah,
Like a huge difference. And
yes,
there's not even like a small block, like a huge district, not district, but huge community just built up within. Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. That's good. And the other day I was watching another documentary of a car factory where they assemble these cars, and it
Mm.
was a fully automated facility. You know, the
So,
assembly was
yeah, I think they're building quite a lot of those kind of things.
yeah, it was
24 hours.
completely automated, 24 hours. And outside they had parked a couple of the cars that they had manufactured. And one distinct thing that I remember from that documentary, looking at that car, is it did not have the rear view mirrors. They had cameras instead of
Oh,
mirrors. And on their dashboard they had a panel where they could see from each mirror. So all they had to do was, um, split the panel into two, left, right, and they could just see. Or if they just wanted, for the front, on top you've got a rear view mirror,
yeah.
they just press one more button and it gives you that view. So they've got everything with cameras,
Oh,
mirrors in the car. Okay, and obviously it does all the features like, um, your biometric uh, login activation, whatever.
yeah.
Okay, getting into the car, that's again biometric. Then, you know,
Oh, wow. I'll
it'll,
look that up actually. Sounds so interesting.
yeah, I'll see if I can find the link to that video again. Probably share it with you. Probably share it with everybody. I was amazed to see that. Well, that they are doing so much of good stuff, and I always think, how do they test it? Like,
Yeah, I would love to do projects like that.
yeah,
That's also on like a different level.
that is such an interesting.
Yeah.
And I always think, I am looking at it from a testing perspective constantly, and like, okay, this is looks so cool, but to make it look so cool,
How
that
did they get
kind
there?
of testing that has gone behind it, the kind of strategy that they would have had, and the amount of thought process that has gone behind it. Well,
It would be good. Yeah, it would be good if companies share that information as well. Because yeah, just seeing how they did stuff.
yeah, it's quite interesting, but that's China. Let's come back to our
Yeah.
our zone. Well, here in the Netherlands right now, it's cloudy. It looks like it's going to rain, and I can see.
I
But
think it's the same here. Yeah.
I thought it is sunny outside for you.
Last week, I think the sun is gone now.
Yeah,
It's back to the rain.
there was a game of cricket that was going to start yesterday, the World Test Championship final, and unfortunately, it got washed out. The first day got washed out, and they got a reserve day, so it starts probably today, later in the day. Let's see how that goes.
Mm.
But this time of the year, uh,
Yeah.
you know, match in Southampton without predicting the rain. I don't know. I don't know how people can actually do that. I was a little amazed when they chose the venue and the time, and I was like, it is going to rain. How?
I think they're hoping it doesn't rain.
Well, yeah. Anyways, anyways, getting back to our discussion, I have a couple more questions for you. So, what would be your advice for professionals who are looking to take up testing as a career?
You mean what they should do, or you mean explaining why testing is good?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think one of the things with testing is you can, or one thing I job about testing, you can dip your toes in so many different things. So like, yeah, like developers are always focused on building code and stuff, but with testing, if you want to, you can write code. If you want to, you can focus on the design aspect of stuff. If you want to, you can even focus on architecture, solution architecture type stuff. So I think we're testing because we get involved in lots of different things. You pick up quite a lot of different bits. So I've joined projects where I knew more about APIs than the developers did, that kind of stuff. So I think test is one of the things where, because you do so much, you have an opportunity to do a lot of other things. So I think that's one of the big plus. It's literally every project I've been on has been different. I don't think I've been on a project that has been, yeah, yeah, and you're always learning new stuff. But I guess it's up to the person. If you want to take your texting career to different levels, you can. You always have the opportunity, because you can justify. Yeah, so if the product has got databases, I can justify spending time on the database side of stuff to learn more about databases, or maybe even get really good at understanding the database if that's what I'm interested in. So in a way, we can pick, as testing, we can pick what we're interested in, and focus on that, and still add value to the product.
Right.
So I think you can do a lot in testing, or you can pick how you want to focus your stuff on. Yeah, and pick up if you want to become very technical, or you want to become very design oriented, or stuff you can choose. We've got a lot of variety, I think, and it pays well as well. I
Yes.
think people think that it doesn't pay well, but if you're good at your craft, and you can talk about it and stuff, people pay you. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. And you've said it so beautifully that, if you are working as a tester, there are so many opportunities for you.
yeah. It's loads of stuff that you can. Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff that you can do. You've said it so wonderfully. And that is one positive uh, thing that I would have also loved to share it with testers, that, don't worry about your career coming to a full stop at a certain point. It doesn't, because
yeah.
you've got
There's always new technology as well. So
there's
like
always
all this,
technology. There
and
are a lot of areas in which you can expand
yeah,
your horizon to, if I may say
yeah,
so. Like you said, if somebody has a liking for technical stuff, then they could go there. If somebody has a liking for design stuff, then they can go in that direction. If somebody has got a knack for doing things for building new products, then you could go in that direction.
yeah,
um, so there's a lot that you can do. And thank you, Richard. So, I mean, that is so valuable. That is not just for young professionals who are picking this, but people who are in the current profession as well. This message of yours will help them as well. So thank you
yeah.
very much for sharing that.
Because even like all the machine learning stuff that's coming,
Right.
even though we're not using it on our project, I can research into it and see how I can use it in my project, and then I'll get that new knowledge. That if I use it and it works, then it's something that the company can start considering. So yeah, I think that's definitely one good side of testing, is that we've got a big pot that we can pick stuff out from. Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. Completely agree with your thoughts. We've been speaking for almost an hour now, a little more than
yeah,
that maybe, but it has been such a wonderful conversation with you, Richard. When I
yeah.
chat
I've enjoyed this actually. Yeah,
when I chat with you every time, I get that positive vibe. Thank you for spreading that positivity. Thank you for inspiring me to be positive at times. I really need that at times. And just your last response of trying to look at things holistically, trying to look at the bigger picture, trying to look at opportunities everywhere. This is so encouraging. So thank you for all of that. But before I let you go, I have one final question that I want to ask you. If Richard was not a tester, what would he be?
Probably an architect.
You mean build towers?
Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, before I did a product design, that was my two choices: either being a product designer or an architect. I think I still enjoy it. Yeah, I think design is something that I always enjoy. So I'm still reading. I always look at articles and stuff around that stuff. So yeah, I think I always like building stuff or thinking about
You know,
space.
it's probably a coincidence or what, I don't know. So I was looking at, I was reading something about product design earlier today, and I was looking at the different approaches that people take towards product design and different methodologies, and
Yeah,
how to do product design in an agile manner and things like that. And then here you are, who is passionate about product design. So maybe we can we can have some very interesting product design conversations
I think
down.
there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot in common. So I feel a lot of the stuff I learned from my design course has been useful in my testing career because I think a lot of the mindset is quite similar. Like I'm trying to understand your users, understanding their problems, all those kind of things, and the creative side of stuff. I think it's all been very very useful in my testing career. I feel. I
Yeah,
think that's probably what's helped me think in a certain way with testing because of that knowledge. Yeah,
yeah.
because yeah.
So fantastic, Richard. Well, so we will definitely have more conversations, and this again, like my other conversations, feels a little unfinished. So maybe chapter two. That's always a good idea. But thank you so much for giving your time to me.
Yeah, thank you for asking me. It's a pleasure. I was surprised.
Especially doing this so early in the morning. Well, you shouldn't be surprised. Well, we've been talking for a while on and off through LinkedIn chat or Twitter,
Yeah,
or wherever we get an opportunity to have a go at at products. So we'll continue doing that. We'll keep chatting more. We'll keep
yeah,
doing this. Thank you so much for giving your time this morning.
yeah. Thank you.
Wish you a very happy weekend. Enjoy your time, and we'll keep talking.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot. Great community. Yeah.
See you.
Okay. See you.